Okie dokie. So this is our yoga session together. We are going to get comfy, we're going to get warm, we're going to get supported, and we're going to come down onto your mat. So if you would like any extra support, if you have blocks, you can always have blocks to stretch down to instead of going to the floor, but otherwise you might make a fist or fingertips instead of a flat hand. If you need the support at the beginning of our session, or the support to have warm, blankets, extra layers, cushions, thick or thin as well might be helpful. Thick or thin for underneath the head when you're lying down, thick or thin for underneath your tailbone, underneath your knees. All of these things you might not know until you get going, and you can always pause me, go and find that piece of equipment that might be helpful. And if you wanted to as well, you can always have a long band or a long, very long sort of loose scarf potentially, if you want to use that for hamstring stretching or anything else, either with me or later on. But let's get going. Let's come to lying down and come into a position that is really comfy for you to start with, and it doesn't have to be the same the entire time. I often mix and match what I like, and each time you do it, you'll be different as well. I'm just going to walk down and just give myself a little roll down, and then a transitional position for you and a transitional pose. This looks like our hip bridge, but it might be a nice one to keep the feet grounded and then pop the hands out. If you like this, but you want a slightly wider position, you could put the legs out and let your knees drop a little bit, but then this leads you nicely into Reclining Bend, which is soles of the feet together. What is also a nice option is maybe to have a little bit of gentle manipulation through your inner thighs, and you can put your hands there or put your hands into the pelvis with the heel of the hands or your fingertips. Hands could be on the rib cage, again, they could be out to the side. Whether you want to go to the full relaxation element of the fullest Shavasana, which is those legs out and the arms out, is entirely up to you. But if you're feeling okay and you're feeling good and you're ready to start our session, let's maybe close your eyes and begin that lovely gentle process of focusing on you. So we want to be present with our body. We want to be present with that mind-body connection. And to be present, we really just go with the flow. If you're feeling a little tight anywhere, it might be a nice opportunity to be able to breathe through those areas. If you're feeling that the breath is a little shallow for right now and you want to focus on making it a little bit fuller, that could be your initial focus. But to begin with here, we're very simply breathing. We're taking the inhale, lifting that breath and let it rise up through your body. And when you take that exhale, you let your body just relax down. So this is where you might want to slip in that extra support for the head or even the lower back. Whether you've got your knees bent still or whether you've transitioned to a calmer version where the legs are extended, try and breathe into the pelvis, breathe into the belly, breathe into the hip area. It's all a lovely chance for you to really get familiar with your body, understand how you're feeling right here, right now, and then go with the flow as and when you feel more confident. You add or you take away. You add more layers, you add more control, or you take it down a notch, you take it out of the intensity. Listening to your body is absolutely key. So for right now, let's focus on that breathing. Let's focus on the lifting element of an inhale. It has a natural rise. So let it rise up. Let it be really low down in the tips of your toes and feel that intensity coming through your feet, through the legs, bringing you up through the torso, breathing into the upper back, breathing into the chest, the shoulders, letting the arm line be nice and relaxed. And then onward and out through the crown of the head, that breath continues to rise for you. The element of calm comes from clearing the mind and leaning ourselves into that exhale. The exhale breath and the nice rhythmical flow and the interplay between this inhale and these exhales is all here to calm you, calming your mind, calming the body, easing yourself into the relaxation element of your exhale, and really relax through the forehead, Relax through the temple, the jawline and the cheekbones, and being able to soften the jaw will help to soften other areas of the body. As you move down through the body, breathe through the neck. Ease your way down through the shoulders, drawing your mind's eye down through the length of your spine. Let that breath radiate out in a beautiful warm glow, a beautiful warm circle around your hips, your glutes, and then being able to gently draw down through the pelvis, easing with that beautiful symmetry down through the length of your legs, elongating as you go, both the physical and through that mind-body connection. Relax even deeper. Breathe even stronger. Breathe for the inhale to be fuller and wider and far-reaching. Breathe for the exhale to be deeper, drawing you down and down and down through your mat. Let the inhale rise and wash over the body. Let the exhale have its sense of calm. If there's any more layering that you can place inside this inhale and inside these exhales, we'll start to gently nudge our way there now. The inhale continues to rise. You continue to lift. You continue to open, breathing your chest into your clothes. On the exhale, there's a potential for a little bit of core engagement. I already talked about from where you can come, the base of the pelvis, coming in, coming up, feeling that breath wrap around you, drawing you up into a lovely central point. But being able on the next inhale to let that breath be lovely and soft. Let that breath go away from you. When you're in the next exhale, where do you want to be? Do you want to have the calm and the relaxing? Or do you want to continue to nurture that idea of the core synchronized beautifully with expelling the air? So inhale, lift that breath, feel it rise. On the exhale, have that beautiful interplay between the exhale and pushing that breath out and your abdominal contraction. Give me some muscle awareness, give me some muscle contraction. Have that lovely balance between a strong and a soft option for the exhale breath. You do not have to have the same entire breath every single time you're presented with it. So going with the flow, easy, calm, rhythmical, beautiful and smooth breath. Give me, if you can, a little bit more oomph through that exhale, a little bit more core engagement if you have it available. And we'll do that for maybe about 5 breaths. And there's a potential that you might count in your mind's eye. So you might lift that inhale and count for 1, 2, 3. Have a little pause before you let that breath come down for 3, 2, and 1. It may or may not go in sync with my talking and counting and your breathing. So in your mind's eye, you're doing your best and final version here. Give me 2 breaths where you have that strong connection from the inhale into the exhale, but then into one more, into the next inhale, into that next exhale. And then have the calm, and then have the soft and the floaty and the easy, easy breathing. Just calming. And there's a potential you want to gently move the body, so you could wiggle gently through fingertips or ankles, toes or wrists. Not as easy when you're lying on your back, but you could gently nod the head. You could keep the eyes closed. You could let the head drop to one side, and you could gently draw that opposite arm away and feel the neck into the shoulders, into the arm line. Have a nice stretch. And then we need to do the same on the other side. If you have done that one with me, you breathe it out. And then I'm just going to, I've been seated, so I'm just going to come and join you back down on my mat. And you're in a position potentially that you want to bring now into a fuller body stretch. So up and over, out and reaching, stretching. Oh, breathing through this. Stretch those ankles, reach and wiggle them, wiggle through the wrists. I'm just bringing my arms to the front. I am bringing a little bit of twist and turn in through the ankles, and then a very nice floaty arm. Just draw it across the body and over. So I'm just gently does it a little bit lower, a little bit higher, a little bit more above the head, sweep it through, just open the arms, and then as I come around, you might just bring the knee. You don't have to hold it, you might have some core engagement, and you just float the arms up, float them down. You reach away, and you draw under. So if you want to, you can have a little bit of core engagement by bringing the knee a little higher and just placing your hands nicely underneath. But I'm not actually even interlacing my hands. I'm not holding the leg at all. I'm just using my core. The other leg, the heel is grounded, the glute is grounded, and I get a lovely deep stretch when I press into the mat through that other hip flexor. So breathe in, breathe it out. Inhale, exhale. Take hold of this leg and then just bring the other to me. If you do want to curl up, I would always give myself a little shake or a wiggle through my shoulders. I'm just pointing and flexing my ankles here. I'm staying in a curl up, and I'm just going to gently challenge myself to push out, lift up, and gently hold a hamstring stretch. So I'm going to go the other side, push out, stretch that hip flexor, work the thigh, and then bring up for a hamstring stretch. Popping my head back down, I'm going to do the same thing and press away and gently hold. And this time I'm going to curl up and hold that stretch. You can absolutely put the other foot down. It's just a different version on a hamstring stretch with a little curl up, with a little bit of something. If it's available to you, what we're going to try is a different version of a tree pose. So when I've got the leg up, I'm just gently going to pop my foot. Oh, you can't see. So I have got one knee in, both knees in, one leg up. You can hold it and then pop your foot on the side on the calf and have a little opener for your hip and a little balance challenge. I'm just going to hug my knees in. Other leg's going to go up, cross it across, bring it up. If you are able to bring yourself into a version of this that has a crossover option, I'm going to reach up and cross it in front. And then from here, just hold that engagement. Pop the foot down, pop to swap. So pop both feet down, other leg up, walk it up, have it across. It's not on my knee or it's lower. And you're actually opening the glute and the hip in the same way. And then when we come down, we're just going to do the lying down version. So a reclining version of tree pose. So we've done a strength work option. We worked the core. Now we're just going to release into the pelvis. Try not to tip towards that knee that is bent. And you don't have to have it high. My heel is underneath my knee. Because you're reclining, I don't mind if you cover the knee and you bring it up a little higher. If you want to go to the other side and you want to give me a version that has a bound option, which is bringing the heel onto your hip flexor, onto the hip. My knee's quite high up in the air just because I have quite tight hips. Yours might be lower, and I am actually holding mine. You might not need to, but I quite like the idea of just holding to keep my hips level. Sometimes if I drop down, then my knee would drop, but it would pull me. This is a way of me keeping in check. And then let's go with another option of a reclining. We're going to reclining bend Nasana, and I'm going to put a little gentle pulse version in this, which is me just gently does it, easing through, because I know I have some tightness here through the pelvis potentially and into our inner thighs that could be eased by doing a little pulse movement. So gently does it, easing yourself here, breathing in and breathing out. As you come into a hamstring stretch, just gently does it for me. Come into more of that curl up version. And this is where I mentioned if you wanted to, and you have a band, you could always put it around your foot. If you want to come to hand to big toe pose in this version, you could have same hand there on the big toe. And you could, if you wanted to, have the other leg out. If you want the opposite version, opposite hand, you might bend the knee and then you might lift, but you might like the hand grounding. And then what is nice is just to hug and then gently does it, but with a little bit more attention to detail, a tighter hug, tighter rock and roll into your lower back. Other side for me, straighten the leg, curl up if you'd like to, relax those shoulders. You may or may not find the same availability, so you might bend on the very first moment to get the hand to big toe, and then you may be able to get that hip flexor stretch, have the core engagement, have the other leg, but maybe transitioning, foot down, bent knee, swap over, and just really guide yourself into it in a calmer version. Fingertips or hand on the side is another nice option. In you come, open version, wiggle out through those ankles, but I'm just going to roll to the side and then gently does it to swing yourself back round for me. Walk all the way back into your all fours position. And then we're going to go wide with the knees and we're going to have whatever option you feel is good for you. Hands down the middle is a lovely one for me personally through my shoulders and the upper back. It does actually pull through my rib cage, but that's our child's pose with extension. As you come in, you might be able to give me a little lean. If you want to do a little rounding and stay in a mini transitional position between this child's pose and a little bit of sort of a cobra with child legs. And then I'm just going to go slightly wider, turn my hands out a little bit, turn those fingertips out and draw back down again. Same idea, but this time when I come up, I'm going to have a little bit more cat, a little bit more press out through the heel of my hands, a little bit more lift of the chin. So I'm doing it nice and slowly, easing ourselves through, breathing, inhaling on calmer positions, calmer portions of your pose, your transitional movements, and exhaling potentially to round. So I'm putting a little cat back in again. And then from here, as I walk up, it's sometimes nice to then just nudge the knees a little wider. And now I'm going to do my opposing stretch. I'm going to go both hands down one side. If you've got carpet or you've got a slidey surface that helps you go a little further, you might like this. I like to step in just to ground through my heel and my bottom, or heels and bottom. And then off I go on that second side. Same idea, slide away, but without lifting out your glute. And then walk it all the way back in. Walk into more of a tight option or a parallel option with these legs. And then if you've had enough on the hands and you need to make fists, then you've taken the flexion out of your wrist. Otherwise, just have a calmer position for the hands. As and when we do a downward facing dog, that's when you plant the hands a little stronger. Here you're in a very classic cat. So you know your body. Where would you like a little bit more love and attention to detail? Is it not quite into the fullness of the rounding? Is it that you have to go a little deeper on the opposing look up to get more ab stretching? Is it that you'd like to have some rounding and some push and press through your shoulders that I get into a little circular motion with? And this in itself could have a tuck or it could have a flat back option to it. And there might be more of a lean hold and a lean hold. If you want to go a little wider and you want to do a child's pose version of a lean hold, it's like doing the oblique one when I let myself draw right down. But here I'm staying more of an elevated option to pull us appropriately, but for me it's quite nice and deep through your shoulder blade area. And then we're also going to do a child's pose if it feels comfy with a thread the needle. So I'm going to put my left hand to the left hand side, right hand underneath, child's pose first, and then as I gently come out, I may or may not lift that arm quite high. I quite like a side to side option. So right hand down, left hand under, bottom meeting, or bottom cheeks meeting my heels, and then out I go. You can carry on the same side. You could give me 3 or 4. We might be going at different tempos to each other, but as you pull back and sit into child's pose, you often put it with an exhale. I'm going to say inhale there for me instead. Exhale as you come up. so that you're nicely supported through your hips and you've got that lovely extra layer of holding potentially because you're supporting yourself. I'm going to make my next one here the last one. And then as I come out of this, we're just going to walk in and walk round. Because we've been on the knees and I want us to come back there, we're just having a little pause and a little transition. So I'm going to sit on my bottom, have my legs extended, get out of the fleshy part of my bottom, and then whether you want to give me just a very calm, so you don't even have to flex by much, you don't have to point by much for the toes, and you're just very simply getting into the idea of using your core, using those lower abdominals, rolling down and gently reaching away. So if you would like to flow over the top, there's a potential that you flow over the top and pause, and then you slide back out and you might lift the chin and then change to have a lovely big deep point. Keep the chin lovely and tight to your chest, and down you slide. If you're okay where you are, you stay put. If you'd still like to have some more in and out, perhaps you'd like the full reach and extension above the head, and then the exhale to sweep. This is also a nice one to sweep the hands through, up, around, and then down. And your seated forward bend is just getting a little bit more familiar. Your body's getting a little bit more used to where it needs to be, what needs to activate, and are we okay to stay with this last one? So I'm going to stay holding down towards my feet. I've got pointed toes. If it's too far too soon still, just gently back off your range of motion and really go with a version that you can maintain, that's manageable for you and your body. When you're ready to come up, we'll just slide and pop our hands behind the knees. We'll come to a classic version of our Bandha Pranasana, this seated version of a butterfly pose. But I'm not going to pump those legs. I'm just going to walk in closer for a change and have an elevated chin, lifting the gaze and just putting my own version of stretch and pause for the neck. As and when you come to the side and the angle feels good, then you really do just go with the flow. Do you want to stay longer? Are you ready to move on? Is there another angle that you can gently lead yourself into? So I've now looked down rather than just gone to the side, but I can also roll through the middle to find the exact same point on that opposite side. In this position, because I'm holding the feet quite hard and quite strong, I'm not going to roll back with the neck. I'm just going to go back to a nice lateral bend, a side bend with the head coming towards my shoulder. And then from here, like I said, we've had a little pause. We're going to go back round onto our knees. We're going to do a little mini version of a hip opener. From the hip opener, we're going to try ourselves at a half version, kind of half version of of plank into lunge. And then as you come up and out, we'll come back into plank and into lunge. So lunging, planking, coming your way. But first up, let's go with both hands one way. Mine are going left. My right foot's coming forward. And it could be as simple as holding a little nudge forward and a little nudge back. How tight do you feel through the back? How much give do we have through the hips? And this is all relative to you. So I might be going too slow for you. You might want to already put in a hold. But there's the element of always going with a calm option to start with, just to be kinder to yourself. And then when it becomes available, you can go deeper and put those extra layers and those different variations into place. So guiding yourself in and out, being free to stretch a little more so through my hip flexor when I lean forward for this back leg, and more so for my hamstring when I come to line up with that drop back idea. And then I'm just going to walk myself again out of my way so that I can swap over. I'm going to put my left foot forward, plant my hands. Again, fist could be a good option if you would prefer. Just feel like you are centered before you go pushing forward or pushing back. When I mentioned about extra layers, this might be one that you need to roll your mat up, or a softer, flatter cushion might be nice under this knee here. If there's the availability, because I know you've already been going forward and back, it was just the opposite legs doing different things for you, but there might be the element already of the hold. The challenge is always there to play around, be able to support yourself to push deeper in your poses into the holding element of a pose, but just know when it's appropriate to come out, when it's appropriate to flow through that niggle or through that tightness to the softness and the calm of the other side, getting out of danger, as it were. And then here again, just walk it through. What we're going to do is just sit for a moment in a very easy hero pose, which is just literally popping my bottom on my heels. Slide up and just relax those shoulders and just lift up again, lift to open up through the neck. This one do a little bit more centrally. And then thumbs up for me, do the same thing, looking up and gently pull the arms. And then as you sweep in, you just release the tension, thumbs up again and just softly open the chest. If this allows you a little bit of lean back, then it creeps into a little bit like a camel. So there's a bit of a hybrid pose here. So you may lean back a little bit. And then if you want to have some opposing cat-cow drawn into this, you're opening and you might release. I'm just putting backs of the hands together and then thumbs up, lift it out, roll it through. Really getting a little bit deeper, getting much more confident with yourself about where you support, where the support is needed, where it's appropriate to pause, where you can gently push. So now you might get more pull through the shoulder blades as you come forward, but can you get those shoulder blades tighter together? Lift up. Can you lean back? And then pause for me. So from here, we're going back to the idea of that lunge and our kind of half plank coming into play. Plant the hands one side, so both of mine are going to go to the right. I'm going to step my left foot forward again, hands planted or fist, back toe is tucked, and this is my half lunge. It's sort of like a runner's lunge, but it's actually quite a lovely stretch if you need it in your calf of that back leg. So you're just going to hold here for me. When you're ready, breathe in, ease to soften onto the knee, untuck the toe, walk it out so you can just swap over straight away to do the same. Half pose, it's kind of the half lunge, half plank pose, flat hands or fists, tuck the back toe, breathe in, straighten out that leg. Sometimes if you do have fists, just lift you up a little higher. What I have got is got the inside of that leg, that front leg, helping to support the arm if you need it. And then when you're ready, gently does it, ease yourself back down, and we swap again. So just taking your time to have enough space to swap. Plant your foot, plant your hands appropriately. We're going to see if we can come to the plank, then to the lunge. So see where you are, see if you can join me. Tuck your toes, straighten that back leg. Maybe it's nice here to walk onto your fingertips, so you can then transition onto the thigh and into a high lunge. Just gently does it to reset the spine. This is clearly not my strong side, but we're just going to breathe in. Have a little gentle interlace front, have a gentle open behind, have a gentle interlace behind. Ease yourself down. I'm going to go on the inside again and just come straight down on our knee. Not so much through the plank. We will get there in a moment. But off to the other side we go. Plant the foot, plant the hands, tuck the toes, lift up, transition onto your knuckles, onto the fingertips, plant that foot, tummy's engaged, up you come. Pretty strong this one. Here I'm just going to have thumbs pulling me back, a little bit of chest opener, a little bit of a lift of the chin, and then here just round and pop yourself again, straight down onto the knee. Let's transition you slowly and carefully back to that first side and just go a little bit quicker in terms of coming up. Here we're going to straighten those arms up We're going to sweep them down, plant the hands, keep that high position with that leg. So it's a high lunge that we came from into this half plank. Now into the kneeling. Then walk your foot into the middle. And let's have a nice deep version of our hamstring stretch. Just arching or rounding the back a little bit for me. And then ease to transition you again. Swapping sides. Front foot. Breathe in, tuck the toe. Come up. Not so much speed yet, but you're confident. I'm now just going to pop a V shape here. I'm going to go in. And I'm just going to lean out. Sweep round. Hands down. Stay in that strong back leg option. Fingertips or flat hands. It's this half lunge. Softly onto the knee. Hand over the top. Foot into the middle. Relax the back foot. And then gently tip for this front leg. Breathing in. Breathe it out for me. Ease yourself on the inside. Walk it round. Step through. Open those knees. And have any version of child's pose. Active rest is both the static or the moving options, because both of them I want you to actively breathe through. So this is me giving you the option of a round back cat into a bit of a flowing child's pose with a little bit of cobra. It's the very minutest of cobras coming at you at the front. If you feel you want to stay put, why don't we slide those hands in, pop your heads down, and gently does it, ease yourself into a calmer option. So you stay there, stay in an option there that makes sense for you. Breathe your way through it for me. Take the inhale as it comes, take the exhale. You're breathing in, breathing out. Inhale and exhale into the entirety of the back of your body for me. Breathe through the length of the spine, just as we did when we were in our Shavasana at the top of the session. And just breathe it through. Breathe around the hips, around the glutes. Breathe to let that head be a little bit heavier, nice and calm. But as and when you're ready, it's a slow transition from when your head is down, back to an all fours position. Let's go ahead and plant those hands in a really lovely, big, strong handspan. Tuck the toes, breathe in, and just walk straight up for me. So although that was down dog, we just came through it, and we roll to the top. I'm just going to change my mat positioning, only so I can kind of come your way. And then from here, what we're going to go into is we're going to go into a slightly different versions of our chair pose. And then where we go from there is we might add some more standing poses. We might add and flow through a down dog so that we can come up and down from the floor. And like I said, we are going to go with the flow. So classical positioning would be that sort of immediate parallel. It can be slightly wider, but we will get into a tighter option as well. So very calm, very classic. Planting the feet, just stand in your mountain pose for me. So let's think about elongating out through the crown of the head. Mountain pose, slightly soften your knees for me, and we can have palms out. If you're okay to close the eyes, feel a little lift from the pelvis, feel the core help, let it kick in and support you, and let yourself just draw down through your back. So down through the shoulder blades, down through the arms, having again that moment where you can look inside of yourself, having a standing version of this body scan that we may have done at the beginning of your session, able to maybe allow that sway because it's quite natural, feeling the grounding. Where are you feeling it? Are you feeling it through the heels? Are you feeling it through the side of your feet, or is it actually all through the toes, the little toe all the way through to the big toe? What are you feeling as you stay here? Are you feeling that there's energy flowing through your legs? Are you feeling the tension draw away from the upper body, from those shoulders? Are you feeling it drop right out through those fingertips? How are you feeling here? Breathing in and breathing out. As you slowly open the eyes, just gently does it. Bring the hands into prayer position. and just ground yourself, just gently looking in front of you. From here, I'm just going to slide down into a very mini version of your chair. So barely there, just sitting into your heels and starting to soften the knees, thinking about the glutes, thinking about the pelvis, thinking about that drawing in from within. So here, I'm just going to tip forward and then allow myself to open and pop my hands, if you prefer the hands, but I've got my elbows on my thighs. And this is called a downhill skier position, but it's basically chair variation. You could have the hands together back in a prayer position dropped in front of you, or just keep the parallel. From here, just gently drop the fingertips to the floor, let the head go a little bit, tuck it up, and if you can give me a standing forward bend, then release yourself to roll up, tucking the pelvis underneath you, tucking the glutes under as you go, and give me that extension out through the top. Your standing forward bend comes back into play here, easing to hinge from the hips. Slowly does it. If you prefer the half flat back option, you can give me those fingertips in front and just hold them out in front of you, and you breathe through. You breathe in and you breathe it out. Putting all my weight into the back of my heels is just going to get a little bit more stretch going behind the knees, through the hamstrings and the calves, and potentially into your back. Soften the knees and get ready with a deeper version of this downhill skier. So I'm just going to bring my hands to my thighs, my arms to my thighs, my elbows are in. Just relax the shoulders, give me a little bit more of a chin lift and look in front, and breathe in. Breathe out. Pop your hands together, bring them to the heart center as you straighten up, relax the shoulders, tuck the tailbone under, reach up, reach out, wide circle, and then wherever you can, because you may just pop your hands where the hands face down, or you might give me prayer position hands behind you, down or up. I'm going to try for up. Excuse me, I'll just be a moment. So my heel and the hands are not quite together. It is what it is. So get back to my parallel legs, gently do the tuck underneath, and we're coming into upper back extension with prayer position hands sort of nicely in my lower back. As I come to release, I'm just going to let them slide down, tuck the chin, let my arms be really heavy, and then we're going to go into ragdoll pose, which is bend the knees really deeply. I'm just going to let my head have a big shake out, shake the arms, and your arms are heavy, they're long, they're probably sort of, the knuckles are down on your mat, and you're just breathing in for me and breathing out. Nice, strong, rhythmical breaths. Once again, fingertips in front, straighten the legs if you can, or just have a straighter option. Weight back into your heels, and then from here, position those hands, so palms together, bend the knees, and come to a classic chair where you've got parallel arms rather than up above you. Sit deeper where you get into a nice right angle for those legs. Cores engaged, pull those shoulder blades back. What we're going to do is do a half version of a stretch and a reach. Bring it back, bring the elbow in like you're doing a little mini row for me. I'm looking behind for mine, you don't have to. One more each side, stay low in your legs for me. Bring it through, breathe in, breathe out. From here, plant the heels even stronger. Soften and just soften everything. So from here, you might just wiggle and gently have some floaty arms. You might need to wiggle through the ankles. You might need a little extra pause, or you might like to walk it out, and you can just gently flick out through the wrists and have a little calm in that way. And then from here, we've already just touched upon it, but I'm going to do the slightly deeper version and the slightly more inner thigh option, because I mentioned us having wider, classic, or narrow. I'm going to go narrow, and we already touched upon this rowing in and out arm. We're going to see if we can do that, get lower in the legs, and there's a potential that one hand is down fingertips on the mat, and that is your nice big sort of open chest and upper back work. So I might as well stay where I am. I'm going to zip up everything. So even talking to you, I'm engaging where the glutes meet my hamstrings. Pelvis, I'm zipping up. Inner thighs, I'm bringing together. Everything's in. So going to go ahead and do the same prayer position hands to bring me down there. So I'm just going to bring them into my heart center. You can have calm. I'm going to go with a bit more power and strength through the heel of the hands to all of these fingertips. Getting into some upper back work. And now zipping up to slide down. If you actually have the ankle bones or anything of the toes or anything, you can go tight, but just a little bit further. You don't have to be completely on top of yourself. Gently does it, tip down. My gaze is now going to come down. My chest is going to come down, if it's available, onto my thighs. Flat hand or fingertips. Other hand, we're going to come up and out. So this is more of a standing forward bend with a nice bit of rotation for me. So it's that half flat back version. And then here, just gently does it. Go back to the downhill skier, but because you're tight, I've got the prayer position hands. And now I have the same thing. More of a chair pose. Bring it back to the heart center. Reach it over. And when you're ready, walk fingertips in front and maybe just part the legs a little bit. Have your standing forward bend. Let the head go. Maybe do a different option where you're going to hold those elbows for me. Or maybe you prefer to tuck under. The hands can tuck right under your feet. Breathing in. Breathe it out for me. Let's do a nice calm, slow roll up. When we roll up, we'll roll the shoulders back. If you feel like you want to pull them back, sometimes if you come in and then draw them back is a nice one. Otherwise, floaty and shake it out. But we're going to come into a tight option. I'm already here with these feet. I'm just going to do it on the side. But a tight option for a rolling version of a standing forward bend. And then we're going to put ourselves into a wide standing forward bend as well. So when you're ready, zip it up in exactly the same fashion. Interlace the hands or just have the hands going freely around. I'm going to take myself one way, central, exhale to the other way. So a classic side bend will nicely start you off. And if this is where you'd like to stay, this is a side bend in your mountain pose, or it's also called a swaying palm tree version. And then when and if you want a little bit more rotation and movement, you will come around, you will come up, you pause. And then I'm going the other way. I quite like that option. I'm rotating as I go, sort of looking up, pressing the hips, using my core, using my glutes, and coming in and coming out of this in the most appropriate fashion for me. I'm going to do some more side bend at the top. Centrally, I will release. I just like to move my mat so that I'm face on. Excuse me. You might be fine where you are. And then wherever you are for these legs, hopefully you're warmer than when we started, but there's still a potential that hips, hip flexors or glutes might hold on to you, so you don't want to go too wide too soon. We're going to have some nice T-shaped arms and give me a dive and a pause. And then you're going to go T-shaped arm out. And let's do some prayer position, hands down. Into a T-shape, into a sweep front and a walk in if you'd like to. I'm going to go wider with my feet whilst I'm getting more confident. As you rise up, let's look up. Bring that prayer position hand movement back into your heart center. We're going to tip from here and we're going to hold this version. Breathing in, breathe it out. If you can walk any more, you can walk some more. Keep those feet parallel. If you can let the head go down, you might pop your hands all the way down. You might like to hold the ankles or gently reach to the toes. Fingertips are always a brilliant option. And then walk forward, tip with it, and tip to walk yourself in. Walk right in, back to that skier version. So I'm just going to bring my hands in. your skier, your downhill skier version of chair pose. From here, just reach it up. Prayer position hands, step wide. Walk it out a little bit more. Hinge from the hips, standing forward bend, but with a wide option. Hands down, plant the hands, bend the knees, walk it in. Parallel those legs. Prayer position hands or downhill skier for your chair. Lift the gaze, take the arms into a T shape. Lift up, prayer position hands above the head, a little bit more upper back extension. Sweeping down, standing forward bend, breathe in, breathe it out. Sweep up, prayer position hands above the head, little upper back extension. Breathe those arms wide, dive forward, standing forward bend. Breathe the arms wide, prayer position hands, slide it down to the heart center, start walking those feet out, in, out with the heels. Go a little wider, get a little bit more of that power through the heels, hinge at the hips, tummy is engaged, gently touch down, go to your widest yet. Breathe it in, press down, nice deep wide, standing forward bend. Are you able to maybe make a fist and lift yourself higher for some rotation? This is a lovely transition. Or flat hand in the center, same thing. Lift and rotate, plant the hand, lift and rotate. Breathe in, breathe it out. Up, prayer position hands, soften the knees, relax the shoulders, walk it in. I'm just going to step. Nice tight positioning, slide down. Chair position, elbow in the middle of your knees or wrapped all the way around. Sit down deeper and lower. Breathing in, breathe it out. Can you transition whilst you're down there? Back to the center, to the other side. Now lift out the top. Breathe to open. Just come a little bit wider and have a comfortable wide leg position with just a really nice floaty, sweepy side bend arm. If you want to go a little wider, let's do it. I'm still sweeping that top arm. If you would like to, you can have a T-shaped arm and tip down, lift, and switch. Breathe in, breathe it out. Last one, last side. Lovely. Hands on hips, walk it in. Just come to some gentle pelvic rotations. So just a very easy movement of a standing option to open up through the front of your hips as I push forward. So let me come a bit to the side and you'll see. So when I push forward, I'll be stretching. As we go back, it's just like the standing forward bends we've already been doing together. And a little gentle push press to the side doesn't hurt as well. That will push me into some more oblique stretching and we'll just wiggle it all out. And then from here, I'm going to have to move all the way around, but we're going to just roll down and you're going to give me a downward facing dog into a plank, soft knees, child's pose, cobra, and then we're going to be in, and that's our transition to relax in your Shavasana. So first up, parallel legs, tuck the chin, roll down. When you're here, weight is in your heels, walk forward, keep the heels down, give me your down dog where you are. I'm going to transition to walk forward and that's going to lift, and then I'm going to lift actually and walk back, but lower yourself into that lovely parallel. This is my high plank. Soften the knees, open them, sit back, lovely deep child's pose. If you can do it here, elbows down, knees in if you'd like to. Lift to a nice classic kneeling version of cobra. And then from here, just transition on round. Once again, I'm going to move my mat nice and position on this angle. Layers back on, blankets, cushions, whatever you need. Let's get to it. We're into the final stretch. That lovely layer of calm is going to come on back your way. I'm going to go onto my tiptoes and just have a little hug rock as I go back. As I hug and rock here, I'm going to hug in. I'm just gently going to rock side to side. Those beautiful transitional poses can come back into play if you like them. And if you like them to actually stay put, please do. Don't feel like you have to move just for the sake of moving or because I'm giving you those options. It's entirely up to you. Wherever feels good for you is the place you need to be. And the place you need to be is a calm, relaxed, open posture. So the pose that you choose is entirely personal to you right now, and personal for you to take a little deeper look inside. So if you can, you'll close your eyes for me. You'll keep that element of calm from the rhythmical flow of your breath once more. The inhale nicely positions itself back to the front of the body to rise up through the body. When you get into that exhale, you let go. So it's all about release. We need to release the tension. We need to release holding onto these muscles. And we need to release that through the mind-body connection. Have that beautiful symmetry between the allowing and the moving of the muscles, the tension, the breath work, all into place. It really does merge and becomes a beautiful, beautiful thing. Once we've got our breathing, we might be able to allow ourselves a deeper form of that relaxation. So the breath comes first. We've let it flow through the body. That exhale is really taking charge to draw the back of your body down into the mat. If you do have that cushion, let your head be heavy into the cushion. Feel it being absorbed in. If you're on the mat, just feel the earth beneath you just draw you down. Releasing down the length of your spine, releasing each and every vertebra in turn, letting that softness just play out down through the spine, radiating through these Christmas tree muscles that run down from top to toe, from the very base of my spine and the base of my skull, all the way down right to my tailbone. You're just breathing in, breathing out. Let that breath rise up. Let that breath fall away. Breathing an easy, calm, fluid breath that really opens you up, opens up the body, opens up the mind. You breathe through to let that exhale draw you deeper and deeper and deeper still. All the way down to the glutes, all the way down to the calves, all the way down to the heels. And then let that inhale just rush up and guide you, lift you, rise up, and then fall away with this breath. Taking your time, having that beautiful interplay, continue to nourish your body, the inhale and the exhale. When you're ready for a little bit of movement and bringing your physical body back to the here and now, focusing on little tiny movements, little thumb, fingertip movements, making some fists with your hands, rotating and opening, doing some sweeping arm movements. But when you're ready, it might be that full body stretch that's the classic stretch and release. Hug the knees into the chest, maybe straight to the side or rock and roll and come on up. I'm already here in easy pose and I'm very simply going to lift the shoulders up to the ears and drop them away. Inhale, exhale. Just let them be really heavy as they drop down. Last one, lifting and releasing. Beautiful. Pick a side and let that arm flow through. Easy does it. Soft, sweeping, rhythmical motion. Swap sides for me. Lift it, sweep it, and then as and when you're ready, pause and give me that prayer position hand one last time, and I will say, Namaste, may the light in me see the light in you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you here very, very soon, and take care of yourself. Thanks so much.